Okay, let me ask you something. What if you could actually turn back the clock on your brain? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But some really fascinating new research suggests the answer might be, well, surprisingly simple. It all comes down to light. Yeah, light. Let's dive in.
I mean, this is a question that affects every single one of us, isn't it? Brain aging is just a part of life, but what if we could actually do something about it? And this isn't some far-off dream we're talking about, it's a very real field of science being explored right now.
And just to put this in perspective, the scale of this challenge is, well, it's staggering. The World Health Organization estimates that by the year 2050, there are going to be over 2 billion people on this planet over the age of 60. That makes figuring out how to protect our brains more urgent than it's ever been.
So, to really get why this new idea is so exciting, we first have to understand the problem. What is actually happening inside our heads as we get older?
Well, from a bird's eye view, the effects are pretty clear. Our brains literally shrink. Part of that is because we lose neurons and cell death increases. This, in turn, leads to those declines we all worry about in things like memory and attention. The incredible communication networks that run our thoughts, they get less efficient.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This decline isn't the same for everybody. We all know people who stay incredibly sharp right into their later years. The source material explains this difference comes down to something called cognitive reserve. It's like a mental buffer you build up.
So, cognitive reserve is basically your brain's resilience. You can think of it like a mental savings account. It's built up over your whole life through things like education, having a challenging job, staying social, all of it. This reserve helps your brain find new ways to solve problems when the old pathways start to weaken. But, it isn't an invincible shield.
Okay, so let's zoom in, like way in. What's going on at the microscopic cellular level that's driving all these changes? This is where the story gets really, really specific.
And this quote from the research paper, it just nails it. It pinpoints the culprit. The key problem, the actual pivot point for the whole aging process, is happening inside a tiny part of our cells called the mitochondria. And I absolutely love this analogy from the source. Think of your mitochondria as the engine rooms of your cells. They're cranking out ATP, which is the fuel that powers literally everything a cell has to do. So you can imagine when those engines start to sputter, the whole factory's in trouble.
And this right here shows the difference perfectly. On the left, you've got the mitochondria in a young brain. It's a vibrant, efficient powerhouse. But on the right, that's what happens as we age. Energy production just tanks, cellular stress skyrockets, and the whole system starts to falter.
And this failure sets off a really devastating domino effect. It leads directly to cell death, inflammation, and just crummy communication between neurons. Essentially, all those big picture problems we talked about earlier, they can all be traced right back to these failing little engines.
Okay, so the problem starts with our mitochondria. Now let's get to the really wild part of this research, a potential solution called photobiomodulation. Right now, the best advice we have for slowing down brain aging is all about lifestyle. Eat better, exercise more. And that stuff is great for sure, but it has its limits. The researchers behind this work are asking a really important question. What if there was another, more direct way to intervene? And here is the big reveal. The potential answer they're proposing is light. Yeah, you heard me right. Specifically, certain kinds of red and near-infrared light. So this treatment has a proper scientific name, photobiomodulation, or PBM for short. It's basically the therapeutic use of specific wavelengths of light to give our neurons a helping hand, influencing how they function and stay healthy.
So the big question is, how on earth can light heal brain cells? Let's get into the science of it, because the way it works is actually surprisingly direct.
So here's the breakdown. First, these specific wavelengths of light can actually penetrate into our tissue and directly target, you guessed it, the mitochondria. It's like a cellular jump start, kicking them into gear to produce more energy. This then helps reduce that harmful oxidative stress and even activates genes that protect the cell. It's a targeted fix right at the source of the problem. And the evidence for this is really starting to pile up. As you can see here, animal studies have already shown it can reduce inflammation and boost mitochondrial function. But the really exciting part? Early human studies are starting to confirm these benefits, showing real, measurable boosts in blood flow to the brain and even improvements in cognitive performance. Okay, so with any new therapy, there's always the big question, right? Is it safe? I mean, shining light into your brain sounds pretty intense. But here's the kicker, and this really surprised me.
This isn't some brand new, untested idea. PBM has actually been researched for over 70 years. And get this, at the therapeutic doses they use, the source material says it has an impeccable safety record with pretty much zero side effects. That's incredible.
So, where does all of this leave us? What is the ultimate potential of this technology for, well, for all of us as we get older?
This quote really gets to the heart of the author's big idea. They're not just suggesting that light can slow down aging. They're proposing it could actually restore an aging brain's communication patterns, making it function more like a younger brain.
Now, of course, we need to manage our expectations. We're not there yet. The researchers are very clear that we need bigger, longer-term clinical trials to really prove these effects. This is a super promising frontier, but it is still very much an active area of research. And that leaves us with one last, kind of mind-blowing thought. We started by looking at this hugely complex problem of brain aging. And after all that, it turns out the potential solution might be as simple, as fundamental, and as elegant as a beam of light. Something to think about.